I've done over $30 million in e-commerce sales in the past 6 years, and I've realized that most of what you've heard about building an e-commerce business is completely wrong. So in this video, I'm going to give you 6 years of brutally honest advice to save you from making the same mistakes that I did. And I'm gonna help you build a real brand that actually lasts. You can skip this video at your own risk, because if you do, you're risking years of wasted time and money. Let's get into it. Have your finances in check. This is especially important if you ever want to exit down the line, because without any type of bookkeeping, how are the buyers supposed to trust your numbers? And of course, I understand, bookkeeping is one of the worst things about business, but it isn't optional. And believe me when I tell you that I learned this the hard way. I once tried to sell my brand thinking it'd be a smooth exit, but during the due diligence, which basically means that buyers were taking a look at my books and all the invoice and all the transactions I've done and verifying if what I've said was correct, the buyers saw that my books were a mess. Missing invoices, messy cash flow, and no proper P&Ls. So what I thought were just small mistakes, it actually cost me a lot of money to fix, and I had to pay my bookkeeper and my accountant multiple 6 figures in accountant costs to fix all the books. And actually, because of all the delay, one of the deals actually fell out. And they had other internal reasons why they decided to step away, but this is one of the biggest ones. And one of the ones which also was a big one for me personally, but that's a different story, was that I didn't have a US LLC. And you have to know that a lot of these exits are based on LBOs, which basically stand for leverage buyouts. They basically borrow money from the bank or from a financer to buy your business, which basically is a leverage buyout. But because I didn't have an LLC and didn't have tax returns there, the bank couldn't give a loan to buy my business. But that's for a different story. But it taught me a big lesson that if your finances aren't in order, nobody's gonna buy your business, no matter how great the brand is. So you need to save everything. And I'm talking about every invoice you pay, okay? I know it may sound harsh, but you need an invoice for every single payment you're making. You need a detailed P&L statement, updated every single month. And you need to hire a solid accountant early to avoid the mistakes that I made. And trust me, if you don't do this, it will fuck you in the ass so hard later down the line that you come back to me and say sorry that you didn't listen to me. And I mean that. But what I'm about to say next is one of the most overlooked things in e-commerce and brand building. Claim all the assets early. And this is something you absolutely cannot wait on, because if you decide to wait on this, you're keeping your brand at risk of collapse 24/7. And believe me if I say it, I've seen the biggest nightmares ever happen to e-commerce store owners. Okay, all because I didn't claim the assets. For example, a couple of years ago, the owners of this e-commerce brand, which I know, were waiting, claiming the assets, thinking it wasn't urgent for them. And I'm talking about the domain, the trademark, the patent, you name it. And they even had everything set up. They have everything set up correctly, and they were actually pretty successful. But then some Chinese company claimed their brand name and product rights, and they lost the entire business overnight. So you're probably thinking right now, how the fuck can I avoid this? You have to secure your domain, you have to secure your trademarks, and if possible, patents as soon as you can. And this is a non-negotiable if you want to exit in the future. Lock in all your intellectual property before someone else does. I cannot emphasize it enough. So the third lesson, sell on multiple platforms ASAP. Did you know that over 50% of all Ecom sales in the USA are on Amazon? So if you like money, this should be a big deal, because on Amazon there's massive customer reach, built-in trust and credibility, high profit margins, free organic traffic, and it also boosts your access value. And actually with my brand Bright, I was the #1 bestseller on Amazon Germany and on the Dutch Amazon called bol.com. We were the #1 bestseller for sports balls. Literally between Nike, Adidas, we were the bestseller on Amazon. It was crazy. And I can be honest to you guys, I made quite a lot of money on these platforms, around multiple 7 figures in revenue, and the profit margin was very high because we didn't have any ad spend. It's just a commission, that's it. So one thing which I did, which a lot of you guys can copy and was very smart of me if you ask me, is that I set my prices higher on Amazon and bol.com, so customers would actually search my website and choose to buy from my website instead of from Amazon. And you should always assume that people will search for your products on Google and they will check Amazon too. So you need to be there and make sure you're the one they buy from, because if they're not buying from you, they're gonna buy from someone else. And if you're actually tired of guessing your way through e-commerce, check out the Winner Circle. It's where I share real strategies that help me hit $30 million plus in revenue. And it's filled with people just like you who are building real brands. And just like Jacob, who went from doing $20,000 per month all the way to $600,000 per month. And he's actually now my head coach and doing multiple 7 figures every single month. All because he decided to join the Winner Circle. Or Anthony, who literally went from zero to doing over $100,000 per day with his e-commerce store. I'm saying per day, because he started as an absolute beginner. He was 18 from France, and bro, this guy just implemented everything that we said so quickly, and it was Q4, he could scale, he found a winner, then he was doing $100,000 per day. Absolutely crazy, one of the craziest case studies I've ever seen. So click the link below if you're ready to start making real progress. So my next lesson, set bigger goals. I used to think that hitting 100K a month was impressive, and maybe it is for some people, but here's the thing, the max that you will achieve is whatever you set your mind to. Back in 2022, when my record month was only 500K, I went to a Capital Club event in September. It was my first one ever, and that event actually inspired me to read this book called The Magic of Thinking Big. And when I finished it, I realized I'd been playing way too small. So I went home, I bought a whiteboard, and I wrote $1 million in one single month as my new goal. And don't get me wrong, at first it felt impossible. I did the math and realized I need to sell around 30,000 products, which sounded just crazy to me. But I decided to go for it anyways. And that mindset shift led me to expand into new markets like the UK and the USA. And with the momentum of the World Cup that also was that particular year, I hit $4 million in one single month. I even had to erase my goals and rewrite them 3 times because I just kept outgrowing them. And one thing which I realized is that I should have thought way bigger from the start. And you should too. But I also realized big goals are worthless without focus. Okay? So that brings me to my next lesson. Dial in your focus. And this might feel like a given, but I want to emphasize that with good focus, it's way easier to build deep, lasting success instead of spreading yourself thin and getting nowhere. And for me personally, this was also the biggest reason I struggled at times, because I was trying to do way too much at once. I was jumping into crypto, then into NFTs, and even other business models, thinking I could juggle it all at the same time. But the truth is, while I was splitting my focus, my competition was giving 100% to just one thing. And I realized there was just no way I could compete with them. Even beginners I mentor sometimes want to start multiple e-commerce brands all at once, but they're still doing everything themselves. And there's just no way you can build something massive that way. So drill it into your mind that focus is everything. When you give your full attention to one brand or one project, you can go in depth, you can build systems, you can hire the right people, and you can scale in ways that are impossible when you're spread thin. And even now in my phase, I have to constantly remind myself of this lesson because opportunities are just everywhere. But the real win comes from just focusing on one thing and sticking to it. But with focus, you have to be ready for the ups and downs of the business cycle that no one talks about. Secure the bag in good times. When business is booming, everything is great, it's easy to think that the good times will last forever. But this couldn't be further from the truth. And it sucks to say, but whenever making money feels way too easy, you're almost always due for a big setback. Whether it's a big tax bill, a lawsuit, or something else. For me, when times were great a couple of years ago, I thought that the line could only go up forever. So I invested everything I had back into stock, thinking the line would go up only forever. But it didn't. And one that I remember as well is 2021 Q4 and 2022 Q1. It came time to pay my taxes, but I had a big problem. All my money was stuck in stock. And this was a very stressful period in my life because I just didn't know how to make it work. But I just knew I had to. I had to go back to the basics and I doubled down on what was already working. I pushed the ads harder, I ran more aggressive offers and pulled in cash wherever I could. There was no bailout coming, nobody was gonna come to save me, and I was literally negotiating with suppliers to delay payments. I got fulfillment tighter and moved every unit I had as fast as possible. There was no room to panic, I just had to execute. And luckily it worked out for me, because I kept my brand alive and managed to sell all the stock. But that period taught me a very valuable lesson, because if that went wrong, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today. So always look in your wins when times are good. Secure cash reserves, be smart with reinvestments, and prepare for the inevitable downturns. Unfortunately, business isn't just a straight line up. You have to see business as if you're climbing a mountain. And when you're climbing a mountain, you have to secure your position by taking the profits and actually cashing it out, clean net on your bank, and then you can climb higher in the mountain. Same thing with business. But there's this psychological trap that's even more dangerous than a downturn, which is understand that it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's important to remember that in e-commerce, the real winners are the ones who play the long game. And I've watched so many entrepreneurs rise fast and fall even faster because they focus on quick wins, viral trends, and high revenue months. But they don't think about sustainability. Over time, they burn out, they lose focus, and their brands just fade into nothing. But I hear you thinking, how do you make sure that you're actually here for the long game? You need to make decisions now that set you up for stability later. Build solid systems, nurture your brand, and plan for long-term growth. You don't want to be the guy who's trying to get to the top fast. Be the guy who's still here in 10 years. I can't emphasize it enough. You still need to get up and grind every single day like it's your last, no matter how long you plan to stay in the game. But you can't do it alone. So you have to build a team early. And building a strong team early is crucial, because after 6 years, I can confidently say that no one can scale a business alone. And doing everything yourself might save money up front, but it limits how far you can grow. Think about it. If you're doing it yourself, you literally have to do everything. And in the beginning, I was doing everything myself. I was doing the ads, I was doing the customer service, I was doing logistics, and I thought I was saving money. But the truth is, I was capping my growth, because no one can juggle everything and expect to build $1 million brand. And trying to compete with companies that have full-time teams while you're doing it solo is just setting yourself up for frustration and failure. And that's when I learned to build a good team that multiplies your output. Because when you hire the right people, they'll give 100% to their area while you focus on growing the business. But remember, remember, hiring isn't just about filling roles. It's about finding the right people who fit into your vision. Because the right hire can be a game changer, but a bad one can hold you back. It's literally like a cancer cell. Build your team early and do it right. Because once you've got the right team in place, you can finally start focusing on this next bit of advice if you really want to scale fast. Master sale events and offers. Plan well in advance for major sale events because they can make or break your entire year. These events are your chance to scale hard and bring in serious revenue. Too many brands try to wing it just on Black Friday or Christmas, only to miss out because they didn't prepare. Without a no-brainer deal and the right assets, you're leaving money on the table. And it's almost impossible to scale from 1K days to 100K days in just a week. You need time to test, optimize, and build this momentum. And that's why you need to make a well-planned sales calendar that gives you the actual runway to create irresistible offers and scale your ads smoothly. And most of you guys are not realizing that these holidays and these sales days are not coming out of the air. You can literally Google or ask ChatGPT about the sales calendar for the coming year and you can prepare your calendar accordingly. But you have to prepare early and you have to start your sale early because you need time to go from 1K to 100K a day. So prepare early, have a killer offer ready, and you'll see your revenue explode when the big days hit. And this is literally one of the big strategies that all my students used last year and will do again to do absolutely great numbers. But here's the hard truth that ties it all together. Success today is from work you did 6 months ago. And this is actually one of the most overlooked things in life. In fact, I can bet you that what you're experiencing today is likely the result of actions you took 6 months ago. Think about what you were doing 6 months ago. Were you pushing hard? Were you laying the groundwork? Or were you slacking, waiting for things to pick up? Were you lazy? Were you skipping the gym? Were you just eating popcorn every single day? And were you not working on your business? Were you partying? Were you hanging out with friends every single day? And one of the fastest ways to mess up your life is to let your guard down when things start to go well. Because when things are going well, you tend to relax a bit because recent results are looking good, so why would you work? But often, those good results are the outcome of hard work you did months ago. And when you get comfortable and slow down, that momentum will fade, and before you know, you'll face a big downturn. Keep pushing when things are good. And a lot of people are asking me how I'm so successful at such a young age. Because that's what will keep your wins coming. Your future success depends on the seeds you plant today. Don't let comfort now cost you later. So there you have it, guys. 6 years of brutally honest e-commerce advice all in one video. And if you're actually ready to stop fucking around and start running a business that grows steadily and becomes something long-term, check out the Winning Circle coaching. I have personally already helped over 300 students build brands that generate real revenue. Like Jasper, who quit his 9 to 5 and is now doing over $250,000 per month like clockwork. And we can help you do the same. Click the link in the description to book a call with my team and see if you qualify. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys on the next video.